What's up guys, John here and welcome back to Johnmunstudios. In this week's video, we're going to be talking about pre-delay in MIDI tracks. If you're a quantizing freak like me and like to see all of your MIDI information, line up with the bars and beats and follow the metronome, then this trick is going to really help you do that and also get the pre-delay you need in order for your orchestral libraries to be on time. Quick note, before we begin the video, I want to introduce you guys to my brand new ebook, 5 Tips to Become a Successful Music Professional. This is based on my career as a film composer, as I now write for History Channel, Animal Planet, ID, Showtime, and many other channels. I really hope that my experience can help you move your career forward, so don't forget to check it out at the Johnmunstudios website, which will be linked below in the description. Without further ado, let's get right to it. Alright, so here I have 2 examples with a string long patch and a cello legato patch. So the string longs are going to be slightly less noticeable, but in the legato patch you will hear a big difference when it comes to quantizing the information and then hearing what it sounds like against the metronome. So the way that we're going to do it is I'm going to show you a hidden feature that is actually not really in plain sight, and I'm going to show you how to use a pre-delay. That way you can quantize your beats and make sure that it lines up with the metronome even though your MIDI information is on the bars and beats instead of shifting it to the left. So let's check out what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to open up this first example, and as you can see, my MIDI notes are slightly to the left, or a lot to the left, almost a whole 16th note to the left here, just so it can line up with the metronome. And the reason for that is that orchestral libraries naturally will have a slight delay before the sound enters, and that is because when Cinesamples, which is the company I'm using right now, Cinestrings. So when they sample their instruments, they leave this delay because they need to capture all of the nuances when the string begins and then when the note goes into full effect and then their release point. If they don't capture that, little nuances when the note starts, then it's going to sound very artificial. So this is the reason why you're always going to find delay in these orchestral samples. So the way we kind of fight that is by either doing this method, which is not quantized. You have to slightly play ahead of the beat, or you could quantize and use the delay feature. So let's first check out what this one sounds like. This is the one that is slightly to the left. And you're going to see that it lines up with the metronome perfectly. So let me solo this, and here we go. All right, so there you have it. This is the traditional way on someone who does not know this delay feature in Logic. And I am aware that other DAWs have this feature as well. So it's not just Logic that has this feature, but people who are unaware of this feature inside of Logic will write their, orchestral strings in this manner. So the way we go against it, so let's actually check out the other track. So this is the one that's quantized. Let me just solo this one. So this is the one that's quantized. So in this example, you're really going to hear that the strings have some sort of delay. It's not as apparent as a legato patch, but I wanted to show you both examples so you can hear what a big difference it makes between the longs and the legatos. You don't really hear, you do hear some in like the short patches, but again, this pre-delay trick will help you, and it'll be a lot better for short patches too, because you don't have to, go back in and, dial in a little bit to the left. So, oh, look, this one here is in quantize. Let's quantize that. So now what you see here is all of the quantized notes. We're going to go ahead and play it, and now you're going to hear that there's going to be a slight delay in the sound when it plays against the metronome. If you take off the metronome, of course it's going to sound on time because you don't have a reference, but since the metronome is on, you're going to hear a slight delay. So you'll probably hear the metronome hit first, and then you'll hear the sample after. There will be times that it does land on time, but again, it's not certain. So we need to make sure that it's on the beat. Let's listen to it without using the pre-delay trick, and then we'll get right to it. All right, so that was the quantized version of this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to reveal where this pre-delay function is, because now it's going to solve all of our problems, and now we can have our notes quantized following the metronome, and you don't have to worry about that pre-delay. So here it goes. If you press I on your keyboard, right, or hit this I up here, this is going to show you the inspector menu. And what you're going to do is, if you have these two kind of closed up, you don't really need the track one. We're going to go and open up region. And when you open up region, you're going to open up more. So here where it says delay, this is what we're going to manipulate in order to move our sample to play a little bit sooner, even though it is quantized. So if you go into the negatives, you're going to make the notes play sooner. If you go into the positive side, you're going to make the note play later. So in this case, we're going to pull back on the ticks. So what this is going to do is that it's going to allow the note to be heard first before the playback scroll bar crosses the note. This is going to allow, the sample to be played and, quantized to the metronome while all the notes being quantized, right? So we want it to sound the way it's seen on the piano roll. So now we're going to pull it back, and let's do like around, 110 or something. And let's see what it sounds like now. All right, so there was a couple of clips. Sorry about that. So now we're going to go ahead and look at the legato patch. But you heard that corrected the problem, and now it was sounding like if it was, quantized. All right, so now we're going to check out the legato patch. Now in the legato patch, you are really going to hear the delay, and I'm going to show you the piano roll now. And if you're a film composer and constantly work with sample libraries, then you understand that legato patches have some serious delays. So now we're going to go ahead and check out what I have here on this cello patch. This is the non-quantized version. So this is how you would actually have to play it, almost, if not a 16th note before the actual beat. So let's check it out. right? Just keep in mind that none of these are fully produced or anything like that. I left it as raw as possible so you can hear the actual delay working. I didn't want to do any processing or any reverb or any of that stuff so that it can tamper with the experiment here. So this is all dry, no effects. This is exactly how it comes out of the box. So now we're going to check out the quantized version of this cello, and you're going to hear the major delay that it's going to have. Again, these are all quantized, and then there's an extra little step that I'm going to give you at the end of this so that you can make sure that your legato patches sound, awesome. If you're not a seasoned if you're not seasoned in these orchestral libraries, then you probably won't know this, or maybe you do because you researched it. But anyways, I'm going to cover it to make sure that you can get the best out of your legato patches. So let's go ahead and check out the quantized version. Right, some serious problems here. All right, so as you heard, this is very delayed, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to pull it back farther than 110. I found like a good number is like probably 160, 150, 160, like around there. So let's do 155 to kind of break even. And then we're gonna go ahead and play this one more time, and let's see if it lands on time. Here goes. So there you have it. Look, it lined up. The only one that had a little bit trouble lining up was this very first one. But in orchestral patches, I'm not sure why, but the very first note you play will always be on time, and then the consequent, the consequent notes will not. So the first one, it's kind of, you give or take. You could either pull all of them back and just do it like that, or you could do it this way, and what you do is you pull the first one slightly forward that it lines up, but it's easier to do that to one note than do it to all of them. So the little trick that I'm going to show you on legato patches is you want to make sure that at the end of these legato notes, so these MIDI notes, you want to extend the tail of the MIDI note to overlap on the next note, because that's how you're going to create the legato, right? So we're going to highlight all of these, except for this one, because this is a repeated note. If you line it up, then you have chances of this note not being heard at all. It'll sound mute. So you always have to leave a space if you're going to repeat a note. But for these here, we're going to, just slightly push it over to the right, right? So that it overlaps, just like that. You could do it a little bit more, but, just a little bit of an overlap will help the smoothness of the legato notes. Because if you don't overlap them, then it's just going to re-articulate, the string patch again. And that's not the point of legato. So the point of legato is to be played with one bow, not separate. So hear what it sounds like now. The idea is you want them to overlap. So that's just a little tip that I threw there, so you can get the best out of your legato patches, and so that you don't have to worry about the rearticulation of the note. They would just play legato. So you quantize, you use this pre-delay, and then there you can have your notes quantized. They could be quantized, obviously to the bars and beats, to your tempo. You can hear it with the metronome, and then you won't have any problems. And the cool thing about this pre-delay trick is that it works within each region. So I can even have multiple regions. So let's say you're using key switches or something like that. You can have, you know, let's say this was a region, and then I copy and paste this and I put this here because you have another, you know, whatever, another patch here. What you could actually do here is you can have this one be 155 ticks or whatever, and then this one is going to be, sorry, this one's 155, negative 155, and this one could be negative 61. So like I said, if you have a key switch and you cup so let's say it was actually like this, so you could see a little better how you do it. Command J will glue it together. The other option you have is going here, find the glue tool, and then, you know, highlight both and then click it, but that takes too long. So what you can do is, let's say you run into a situation where you have long notes or legato and then short notes because you're using key switches. What you do is you split them. So you can hold T and press I. That's the command for getting the scissors tool, or you can reach for it here. I like using shortcuts. So TI, cut it. TT is going to be the pointer tool again. And then here, again, you can adjust this one to be negative 155 or 50, 150, whatever. And then this one could be your, you know, negative whatever, or even 0, depending on how delayed your short attacks are. So you see that there's so much flexibility with this, and you now don't have to worry about, you know, having your notes pull to the left a little bit because it's not in line with the metronome. You want to keep it always on the metronome, and at least like me, if you're like a quantize freak and like to see things lined up, then this is a perfect way for you to be able to achieve that. So if you have any questions throughout this video, just leave your comments down below and I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the ring button so you don't miss any of my new videos. Be sure to check out the Johnmunstudios website. There's a variety of merch with the official logo of Johnmunstudios. Starting next month, April 2021, I'm going to be featuring anyone who buys their merch. I'm going to be featuring you guys on my YouTube channel, so be sure to submit your photos to my email. I'll leave it down below in the description. And also below, I'm going to leave my Patreon link. With as little as $1 a month, you can support my making of these videos every week. This will be a huge help for me and also allow me to continue making great content for you guys. Don't forget to share with your musician friends. I will see you all soon.